Today, we're diving into a fascinating story. It's all about strategy, risk, and communication. And it's all told through a single, perfectly dealt hand of cards.
So I want you to picture this. It's a quiet winter afternoon. You're inside this cozy club, and you can smell the coffee and the cookies. But the tension, it's surprisingly high. Because we're not just watching a game of cards here. We're witnessing a really cool strategic experiment that's just about to unfold.
Right here, this is our central puzzle. The exact same hand of cards is going to be played in two separate rooms by two different teams. Both of them are aiming for the same ambitious goal. So the question becomes, does the path you take to get there matter as much as actually arriving? So let's really set the stage for this tale of two tables. We've got two teams, identical cards, same challenge. But they are about to tackle it using two very, very different philosophies. All right, let's meet our key players. In room A, we have Tom and Robert. And over in room B, it's George and Mildred. Now, both of these partnerships have been dealt a hand that makes a six-spade slam possible. And that's a huge deal. It's a really high-scoring contract, the kind that can win you the whole night. The real challenge is, can they communicate well enough to figure that out and bid it correctly?
Now, before we see how they actually did, we need to understand the two different communication systems they were using. You can think of these as their rules of engagement. They're going to define their entire strategy. Okay, so the first system is called a limit major raise. The most important thing to remember here is that this is an invitation. It's basically like saying, hey partner, I've got a pretty good hand, and I think we might have a shot at a great score, but you get to make the final call. It suggests, right? It doesn't command.
So, let's start with a situation you've probably been in 100 times. Your partner opens the bidding with one heart, and you pick up this hand. You've got 11 high card points, your aces, kings, and so on, and you've got that lovely 4-card heart support. So what do you bid? A simple raise to 2 hearts just feels, well, too weak, right? But you're not really strong enough to just force your way to game. It's that classic in-between hand that can be so tough to describe. Well, the answer to that puzzle is a bid that was designed for this exact situation. It's the limit major raise, or LMR for short. It is the perfect, tailor-made tool for this job. So what is it? By jumping directly to the 3 level from 1 heart straight to 3 hearts, you're sending a very, very specific message. You're basically saying, hey partner, I've got a pretty good hand over here. I really like your suit, and I think we might just have a game. What do you think? It's an invitation. It's not a command. Let's just break down the DNA of this bid, right? The auction is that simple jump, 1 of a major to 3 of that same major. The strength, this is absolutely key, it's that 10 to 12 point range. You promise you've got good support, usually at least 4 cards. And maybe most importantly, it's invitational. It is not forcing. Get these 4 things down, and you've got the foundation for using the LMR perfectly. So you might be thinking, why is it so important to have a whole separate bid just for this one hand type? Well, it's all about carving out what we call the invitational zone. It brings so much more clarity to your entire bidding system. First off, the LMR draws a really clear line between your hand and a weaker, simple raise. Bidding 2 hearts is competitive. It's like saying, partner, I've got a little something. Let's get in their way and compete for a part score. But jumping to 3 hearts, that says you've got bigger dreams. It tells your partner that game is a very real possibility.
Now, what's really interesting is that the LMR is also defined by what it isn't. In a lot of systems, if you had an even stronger game-forcing hand with support, you'd use a convention like Jacobi 2 and T. So by choosing the LMR, you're also clearly telling your partner, hey, I do not have a hand that's strong enough to force us to game. And that's crucial because it stops them from getting too optimistic and bidding past the best spot.
Of course, bridge isn't always that simple, is it? Things get way more interesting when your opponents decide they want to get in on the action. And when they interfere, you and your partner absolutely need a clear agreement on how your bids might change their meanings. Okay, so here's a really critical agreement in modern bridge. After an opponent bids that direct jump to 3 of your major, it often completely flips its meaning and becomes weak and preemptive. So how do you show your good invitational hand now? Well, you use something called a Q bid. That just means you bid the suit the opponent just bid. It's a way to show support for partner and that invitational strength. Let's make this totally concrete.
Partner opens 1 spade. The next person bids 2 diamonds. If you now bid 3 diamonds, you're not telling your partner you have a diamond suit. Not at all. It's a coded message. It says, partner, forget the diamonds. I have that awesome invitational hand with great spade support we talked about.
So, your partner has shown you that invitational hand, either with a direct jump or that fancy cupid. The ball is right back in your court. As the opener, you've got a big decision to make. Do you accept the invitation and bid on to game, or do you decline?
And this decision, it's not just about counting up your points. It's about the quality of your hand. Do you have some extra values? Good honors in the trump suit, a useful short suit like a singleton or a void, aces and kings? All of these are green lights to accept. But if you're just holding a bare minimum, flat hand, it's probably time to hit the brakes. Here's a simple rule of thumb for you. If your opening hand has 14 or more high card points, you should almost always accept the invitation. Think about it. Your partner has promised 10 to 12. You've got 14 plus. Together, you've got the 25 or so points you generally need for game, so you can confidently bid 4 hearts or 4 spades.
And the most important part of this whole sequence is to trust your partner. They've described their hand to you perfectly. It's invitational, not forcing. So if you're sitting there with a bare minimum, the correct, disciplined play is to just pass. You've found a safe spot at the 3 level, and pushing on is really just a gamble.
Okay, for our last point, let's zoom out a bit, because the limit major raise doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? How effective and precise it is can really depend on the broader bidding system that you and your partner are playing.
So let's look at the big picture. While the LMR means pretty much the same thing in most systems, its precision really shines in a more structured system, like 2-1 game forcing. Why? Because the LMR is protected by other conventions, like Jacobi 2NT, that handle the really strong game-forcing hands. This leaves the LMR to do one job and one job only: describe that purely invitational hand with maximum clarity.
So there you have it. The limit major raise is just a powerful tool that replaces guesswork with precision. It helps you and your partner find the right spot on those tricky invitational hands. And like any convention, the real key is to talk about it with your partner so you're both always on the same page. Okay, now let's flip the coin and look at the other side of this. We're moving from just one specific bid to a whole bidding philosophy, a complete framework. We're talking about the 2-1 game forcing system. Honestly, the 2-over-1 system is a total game changer for so many partnerships. It completely rewrites the rules for what a new suit at the 2 level means. When you make that bid, it's like flicking on a big neon sign that says game on. There is zero ambiguity. You are going to game. And just look at how different this is. The points, we're now talking 13 plus, a solid game-going hand. And get this, you don't even need a fit for your first bid. You're just showing your points. And the most important part, is it forcing? Oh yeah, 100%. Game forcing. This is really the unbreakable golden rule of the system. Once that 2-1 bid happens, the debate is over. The only question left is, which game are we playing? Is it hearts? Is it spades? No trump? But you are getting to game. Opener absolutely cannot pass. It's just not allowed. All right, time for the head-to-head comparison. Let's put these two concepts right next to each other, because seeing them side by side really makes the differences pop. And bam! It's just crystal clear, isn't it? LMR is one bid, 2-1 is a whole system. Look at the strength. There's a hard line right at that 12-point, 13-point mark. And that last row, that's the kicker. Can opener pass? For an LMR, yeah, sure. For 2-1, no way. Not a chance. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so I have to choose one or the other, right? But that's not it at all. They aren't competing ideas. In a good modern system, they actually work together, like perfect puzzle pieces. I love thinking about it like a bidding ladder. It's a really great way to picture it. Each rung of the ladder is for a different kind of hand, a different strength level. It lets you pinpoint exactly what you have with so much precision, right from your very first bid. So look at how this all fits together. Partner opens 1 spade. That's 69 points, easy. Bottom rung, just a simple raise to 2 spades. Now, that 10 to 12-point hand, the invitational one we've been talking so much about, that's the next rung up. Boom, limit major raise to 3 spades. And then, when you're really strong with 13 or more points, you get to the top rungs. You can use something like Jacobi 2NT if you have a great fit, or you make a 2-1 response to start exploring. See, every hand has a home.
Okay, if you're going to remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this next part. We can boil the whole purpose of each of these ideas down to one simple question they're designed to answer.
The limit major raise is all about asking a question. Is for those hands where you think, we might have a game here. You're not sure, but you want to find out. It's basically saying, hey partner, I've got a pretty good hand. What do you have? Can you take us the rest of the way?
But the 2-1 bid? It's not asking anything. It's making a statement. It's a declaration. The moment you bid 2-1, you're telling your partner, we are going to game. Period. End of story. The answer is already a loud, clear yes.
So it all comes down to this one simple idea: invitation versus commitment. The limit major raise is your invitation. The 2-1 response is your commitment. And really, truly understanding that difference, that's going to be a huge leap forward for your bidding and your confidence as a partnership. So I want to leave you with this question to take back to your own partner. Think about your agreements. Are they totally clear on this? Can you always tell the difference between a simple invitation and an absolute unbreakable commitment? Because getting that clarity, well, that's where really good bridge starts.
All right, now that we've got the rules down, let's head back to the club. It's time to see how our two teams handled the exact same problem with these two different toolkits. We're starting in room A. So Robert opens the bidding with 1 spade. His partner, Tom, looks down at his hand. He's got 12 points. Now, that really only calls for an invitational bid, but Tom decides to gamble. He makes a 2 diamonds bid. That's a 2-1 game forcing bid, basically lying about his strength. He's overstating his hand. And this move forces them up the bidding ladder, and after a kind of scrambled conversation, they eventually land in that 6 spades contract. And you know what? It worked. The gamble paid off. They made the contract and scored a massive 980 points. Wow. Okay, now let's pop over to room B. Mildred opens with 1 spade. Her partner, George, is looking at the exact same 12-point hand, but he makes a totally different choice. He bids 3 spades, a perfect textbook limit major raise. He is accurately, honestly describing his hand as invitational. And that crystal clear signal lets Mildred, who has a really strong opening hand, confidently take control and just smoothly and precisely guide them to the exact same 6 spades contract. And their score? You guessed it, exactly the same, 980 points. And that right there is the central mystery of our story. Right? This is the question, isn't it? Both teams got the exact same result. They both took home a huge score. So who cares how they got there? What's the big deal? Well, the answer comes a little later, as the players are all gathered around for biscotti after the game, because this is where we really see why the how, the process, is often so much more important than the what, the final result. One of the players, Robert, the guy from room A, actually, he says it perfectly. The path matters. The choices you make along the way, they have consequences, even when you get lucky with the outcome. And you can see it all laid out right here. Room A's path, it was based on an overstatement, a little white lie, which created confusion and didn't even identify their spade fit until the second round of bidding. That's a moderate risk. But Room B's path was based on an honest, precise bid. They found their fit immediately, their risk was almost zero, and maybe most importantly, they kept the integrity of their communication system intact. They could trust what the other was saying. Let's just break it down one more time. Tom's bid in Room A, it just wasn't accurate. It was a gamble that could have easily led to a disaster if his partner's hand had been just a little bit different. On the other hand, George's bid in Room B was, well, it was perfect. It was a textbook description of his hand, and it gave his partner the exact, honest information she needed to make the right call. Because in a game like Bridge, the final score on one hand doesn't tell you the whole story. The journey, the auction itself, tells you which partnership had the clearer, the safer, and the more efficient conversation. The process is everything.
Let's just circle back to this fundamental idea one more time. The 2-1 auction in Room A began by talking about raw power, about points. The LMR auction in Room B began by talking about something completely different, the trump suit. And that one single difference created a ripple effect through the entire auction. And this table just lays it all out. Check out that row when fit is known. In the LMR auction, it was known immediately, the very first response. In the 2-1 auction, it took a whole extra round of bidding to confirm it. That alone makes the LMR auction way simpler, and it leaves a lot less room for a misunderstanding.
Now let's talk about risk, because this is crucial. The limit major raise was a perfect, honest description of North's hand. But in that 2-1 auction, North had to fudge it a bit. He bid 2 diamonds with only 12 points, when the system really wants 13. Now, it worked out this time, but that little white lie introduces risk. What if the opener was minimum? They could get too high. The LMR approach, no risk, no ambiguity, just the facts.
And what about just being efficient? Cutting to the chase? The numbers are clear. The LMR auction took 1 single bid to find the trump fit. 1. The 2-1 auction took 3 bids to get to that same piece of information. The LMR route was just way more direct. It used fewer bids and left more room to maneuver later on.
So, what have we learned? Even though both teams got to the top of the mountain, one team took a sort of winding, slightly sketchy trail, while the other team took a direct, clearly marked highway. So let's boil this all down to the final professional level takeaway.
And here it is. This is really the money quote for this specific type of hand. And you see it all the time. Where the responder has good trump support and that invitational level strength, the limit major raise is just the better tool for the job. It's faster, it's safer, it's more efficient, period. So let's just tick the boxes on why it was so much better for this particular hand. North's hand was literally the textbook definition of a limit major raise. 12 points for card support. The bid fit the hand like a glove. It was more economical. It didn't overstate anything. And it put the partnership on a direct flight to finding their excellent slam. So, to wrap this all up, I'm going to put you in the hot seat. You've just seen both auctions play out. You're sitting North. Your partner opens 1 spade, and you look down at your cards. 12 beautiful points and a 4-card spade fit. After everything we've just discussed, what's your call? Because choosing the right tool for the right job, well, that makes all the difference.
And that brings us to the ultimate lesson from our little afternoon at the Bridge Biscotti Club. On the score sheet, it was a tie, no question. But in the silent language of the game, in the strategy of it all, there was a clear winner. Room B won the argument. Why? Because their success wasn't based on a lucky gamble. It was built on clarity, on precision, and on trust. And the wise Mildred, she just sums it all up with this beautiful piece of advice. The goal isn't to make the biggest, loudest, flashiest bid. The goal is to make the clearest one, the one that communicates the truth of your position perfectly.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. Not just in cards, but really in any strategic situation. When you're in a game that mixes logic and luck, what do you value more? Getting the right results, no matter how messy or risky the path was? Or choosing the right path, the clear path, regardless of the final outcome?
Subscribe our channel for more videos.